While using broadband, data is received and transferred by sending a request to the server that maintains the information you want. This request is sent along nodes that are linked all around the world. As the data you request is sent back to you, it is broken up into little pieces called packets. As your computer receives these packets of data, it reassembles them into the file's original, viewable state. This is done in the same way that you would put a puzzle together. How quickly the data is reassembled depends not only on your broadband connection, but also on the speed of your computer. The data can only be put together as fast as your computer can process it. When dealing with broadband speeds, there is one very important fact to remember. Connection speed and actual speed are vastly different. Connection speeds are measured in kilobits, megabits, and gigabits per second. Actual speeds are based on the size of files being viewed or downloaded and are therefore measured in kilobytes, megabytes, and gigabytes per second. What this means is that download and upload speeds are measured in bytes per second rather than bits per second. Although they sound similar, those two letters make a lot of difference because, as you can see, 8 bits equals 1 byte, and it just progresses from there. No matter what form of broadband you have, there are several factors that are constants in affecting speed. Bandwidth, latency, network congestion, and distance from the provider are a few. Bandwidth refers to how much data you can send through a network or modem connection. You may have a 12 megabit service, but your modem may only allow 6 megabits to travel through it. So if it doesn't seem like you're getting what you pay for speed-wise, check your modem's capabilities. Latency is the amount of time it takes a packet of data to move across a network connection. Network congestion is determined by how many people are using the same network simultaneously and varies greatly depending on the time of day and how much of the bandwidth is being used by the others on the same connection. Distance from your provider is very key. The further you are from the source of your connection, the slower your connection will be. South Korea's average speeds are so fast because they've spent years investing in and improving their infrastructure. They make companies that have already laid the infrastructure collect a user fee from other companies who want to use their line. This means they can more easily upgrade it, and it's easier for new companies to enter into the market. As more companies enter the market, it becomes more competitive, thus driving the price they pay for internet way down. Koreans pay $17 less per month for a much faster connection than Americans do. They also have plans to upgrade to a 1 gigabit per second countrywide infrastructure in the next few years. The project is expected to cost $24.6 billion. The size of the United States compared to the rest of the countries is incredible. When the land area of all top 10 countries is combined, it results in about 540,000 square miles, 6.5 times smaller than the United States. This means that the expense to upgrade our entire nation is far greater than it is for most countries. The United States invented the internet, yet according to most studies, its average broadband speeds are far slower than many countries. This is in part due to the high cost of laying new infrastructure, but also because there are only a few major internet service providers, or ISPs. AT&T, Verizon, Charter, and Comcast are some of the most common. Each of these major ISPs tends to leave an area that has a small customer base and the presence of one of its competitors alone. This creates an almost monopolistic control of the market in more rural areas. This control makes it even more difficult and expensive for new firms to enter the market. It also causes there to be fewer options available and no need for the ISP already there to upgrade its technology. Landell Hobbs, Time Warner Cable Chief Operating Officer, said, "The carrier raises broadband prices not because they have to, but because they can." Due to the high expense of giving our immense rural community broadband, ISPs are doing a lot to upgrade urban areas. Verizon, for example, has been increasing the number of regions in which they offer fiber optic services known as Fios. Their efforts are good, but still leave a lot of room for improvement. The highest speed offered with Fios is 50 megabits per second. Chattanooga, Tennessee offers services up to 1 gigabit per second, speeds that are 20 times faster.
Rapids.
Okay. Are there any specific areas you would like to see it faster, or just citywide?
Well, you know, one of the things, great concerns I had initially when the Van Andel Research Institute opened, they're sending enormous amounts of data electronically to other research institutions to hospitals. There's data moving that needs to move at great speeds because it's voluminous. I mean, it could take forever to send data otherwise. And they're telling me now that the speeds that they have are adequate. But that's an area where I'd like to see.
Google is jumping ahead of the FCC in experimenting with broadband speeds. The company hosted a contest in which the winning city will receive a 1 gigabit per second fiber-to-the-home infrastructure, completely at the expense of Google. The service will be offered to the community at a fair price, but has not yet been decided. One of the leading cities in this competition is Grand Rapids, Michigan. Mayor of Grand Rapids, George Hartwell, has already done much to bring broadband to his city and is hoping to take the next step with Google Fiber. The economic impacts of faster broadband are astounding. In the past decade alone, the number of mobile subscribers in the United States has grown from 61 million to 293 million. This massive increase has resulted in the creation of a $4 billion industry in apps for smartphones. This is just a small glimpse of the economic effects of broadband. Connected Nation is an organization committed to making affordable high-speed access to all of America. In 2007, they issued a report saying that if every state increased its broadband adoption by only 7%, their economy would benefit $134 billion. This benefit comes from many new businesses moving to these areas. Access to faster broadband would also allow for more innovation to occur. The FCC has created the National Broadband Plan in an attempt to boost national broadband speeds through 60 main objectives. A broad overview of it shows that they want to create a better infrastructure that makes it easier for new competitors to enter into the market and use this to generate an environment that breeds technological innovation. Some of the specific goals include creating a fund to support the deployment of broadband in rural areas that have hospitals, making it easier to obtain poles on towers for signals, and attempt to partner telephone companies with broadband companies. The plan also calls for an upgrading of the current electrical infrastructure to the new 21st century smart grid. This would help reduce power outages, allow real-time viewing of electric usage, accommodate next-generation speeds, and ensure efficiency. The biggest issue for the broadband plan is net neutrality. Net neutrality is unlimited access to everything on the web. Comcast won a case in April allowing them to slow the speed of users who access sites like BitTorrent to download copyrighted material for free. These illegal downloads use a lot of bandwidth and slow speeds for other users.
So what are your overall thoughts about the importance of broadband in today's ever-changing society?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier my friend Dirk Koning, who started our community media center here in Grand Rapids, and who died an untimely death in his early 40s. But Dirk said broadband is oxygen. I mean, you need it we're going to need it to live, mm-hmm. and I understand that in a number of different ways. I mean, I can still breathe without broadband. I can still function without it. But to be competitive in today's global economy, to be connected to the world, high-speed broadband is critical. I would go so far as to say that our future in world peace rests on having that kind of immediate access worldwide at high speeds.